Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Maloney. This is episode number 2 of CWN Weekly, coming to you live from London, Ontario, Canada. Date today is Friday, August the 28th, 2020. I hope you guys had a good week. It's been an interesting week for sure. As far as the sports world goes, a lot of stuff going on as far as wrestling goes as well. So if you're watching live, thank you very much. If you are watching live, feel free to comment. I'll be able to answer your questions here on the air. Like I said last week, the show itself will differ from week to week as far as what days we go on. So this week we are on Friday. I'll go more into that towards the end of the show as far as the schedule goes for CWN. But like I said, we are live, and if you have any questions or comments, let me know. Feel free to ask me whatever you want to, and we'll talk about wrestling that happened this past week. Some sad news that took place this past week. Actually just took place yesterday was the passing of Bullet Bob Armstrong, 80 years old, ended up passing away. So I'm just going to read you from WWE.com. WWE is saddened to learn that Bullet Bob Armstrong, WWE Hall of Famer and patriarch of the legendary Armstrong wrestling family, has passed away at the age of 80. Equal parts strongman and showman, Armstrong, who was born Joseph James in Marietta, Georgia on October the 3rd, 1939, proved himself as one of the most tenacious grapplers on the planet during his territorial days of sports entertainment. He secured his tough man reputation long before he ever set foot in the ring, thanks to his tour duty in the U.S. Marine Corps and his 7-year tenure as a member of the Fair Oaks, later Cobb County Fire Department. Goes on to say Armstrong, however, didn't rest on his laurels when he was between the ropes. Handled himself well in the rough and tumble Southeastern territories by employing an assortment of holds and moves, including his feared sleeper and Georgia drawbreaker. He also possessed the gift of grappling gab, giving him the uncanny ability to wear down a rival with his words as well as his strength. His chosen trade later became a family business as Armstrong's 4 sons, Joseph, a.k.a. Scott Armstrong. Most people know him, by the way, as a referee. Brad Armstrong, who was the Candyman back in the WCW days. Steve Armstrong, as well as Brian, a.k.a. WWE Hall of Famer, the Road Dogg Jesse James, followed in their father's footsteps. Armstrong boys often found themselves in the dad's corners. Bullet Bob partnered with each of his sons at various points in the competitive career, which spanned over 6 decades. For his part, Armstrong often credited his beloved wife, Gail, as his secret to his success. Upon being inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2011, their self-proclaimed old war horse also made the case that his many triumphs likely benefited from divine intervention, too. I think somebody up there likes me, Armstrong said during his 2011 WWE Hall of Fame induction speech. Sorry, I got to live my dream. WWE extends its condolences to the Armstrong family and friends and fans. So again, Bob Armstrong passes away at the age of 80. Now they had said 6 decades, but somebody, I was listening to a podcast, I think it was yesterday or today, had said that if he was able to, he would have wrestled in 2020. And I don't doubt that. And reason for it is this. So if you bring up Bob Armstrong on Wikipedia, amongst all the stuff that WWE.com had presented as well, here's a snippet from Wikipedia. So while bench pressing a dumbbell weighing upwards of 180 pounds in a gym in Georgia, the bench that Armstrong was lying upon broke, leading to the weight falling on his face. Armstrong's face was severely damaged and his nose was torn off entirely off, and he required $38,000 US worth of plastic surgery to repair it. While undergoing surgery, Armstrong donned the wrestling mats to conceal his disfigured features and began using the name The Bullet. So there's the history behind that. But damn, the guy has 180-pound weight fall on his face, shattering his nose to the point it completely comes off. And he gets $38,000 in plastic surgery and then continues on with his wrestling career like it was just another day at the office, So again, it's the legacy continues with his sons. Scott Armstrong, I'm just going to bring this up quickly, had passed away. Sorry, not Scott, Brad. Passed away in 2012 at the age, I think it was 48 or 49 years old. I'm just going to bring that up here. Passed away of a heart attack, and he was age 50. He had passed away first, and then obviously Brian James Scott Armstrong still part of the WB family. But some sad news yesterday. That came out late yesterday. I was watching AEW, and then all of a sudden I was watching some podcasts after that, and news broke about Bob Armstrong, and then WWE.com had it on, their website later on. So again, thoughts and prayers out to the Armstrong family. A guy 80 years old and 6 decades in the wrestling business, as tough as he was, and thanks for all the memories. I've got to go on YouTube probably later tonight, tomorrow, to find out more about this guy, because apparently there was huge feuds with Rowdy Piper. Love Piper. I've always usually got the book behind me, either his or Greg Oliver's. But I'm going to see some of the footage of not Greg Oliver. That would be different. Rowdy Piper and Bullet Bob Armstrong back in the day. I'm going to slow down my words here. But again, rest in peace to Bob Armstrong here. From there, we're going to go into, what are we going to go into here? We got some previews, results. We got a lot of news to be talking about this week. So you saw, if you're a fan of this show, and hopefully you are, you saw my recaps from last week. You saw my previews for last week for SummerSlam, as well as NXT TakeOver. If you watched those, thank you very much. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching those at all. Again, the big things going on. NXT UK is coming back. So I'm going to bring up the article for that. NXT UK set to return this coming September. NXT will return with new episodes beginning in September. The groundbreaking brand features the likes of NXT United Kingdom champion Walter, UK champion Kaylee Ray, Ilya Dragunov, Mark Andrews, Flash Morgan Webster, and more. And then be sure to stay tuned to WWE digital platforms for more information on the return to UK. So that's going to be interesting because of the fact of what happened in NXT this past week. So I'll leave it at that. Another big thing that took place, I'm just going to bring this up quickly as well, is that Angelina Love apparently had a big week. And this was, I think, back on the 22nd. So I may have missed that last week. But this was on ROHWrestling.com. Angelina Love celebrated her 20th year as a pro wrestler earlier this week. And to commemorate the milestone, this week's episode of Ring of Honor Wrestling, which is on the Fight Network here in Canada at 10 p.m. every Tuesday night following Impact, will spotlight the Allure. So the Allure was on that this week. Like I said, Angelina Love, 20 years in the business. I think I only got to see her one time, and I'll share a story here. So the one time I got to see Angelina Love was this. There was an event that was supposed to happen in Paris, Ontario, and to anybody who's old school Ontario independent wrestling might remember this. The event was supposed to happen in Paris, Ontario. This featured Outlaw Scott Chase, Tyrant Eric Dawson, the Texas Hellraisers, as they used to be called. And then Angelina Love was their manager back then. And I think it was just Angel Williams might have been what she was going by back then. So long story short, drive to Paris, Ontario, no ring, barely any kind of crew. There was an autograph signing, I think, in the mall before that. There was promised names. I think it was just the local talent that appeared for the autograph signing. And I think the Texas Hellraisers and Angel Williams were part of that. And they were, happy and signing pictures for fans and everything else. So that is what was going on. Well, you get to the event, and it's like, I think it was like a horse racing stadium or something like that. No ring shows up. And it ended up being, I forget the guy's name, but they put on one match, and it was basically this one guy. I apologize for missing his name. Thorne, I think his name was, but he was fighting the missing link. And the missing link, I went up to the guy, and I was kind of shy back then. And he was sitting in his car smoking a cigarette. I'll never forget it. And I think I said one thing to him, and he said one thing back, and then that was it. And the next thing you know, the match goes on. There's no ring. It's like two guys wrestling, in the field. It's kind of interesting. The missing link being the pro that he was, wanted to give the fans that did show up, and not a lot of fans did show up. But anyways, he wanted to give them some kind of money's worth, so to speak. So, Missing Link wrestled on basically the outside, much the same as going on right now with some of the stuff that's going on in Ontario in the outside backyards and parking lots and stuff like that. But that was my first memory of Angel Williams. Angelina Love was seeing her at that Paris, Ontario show that really kind of never took place. But 20 years in the business is absolutely amazing for her. From there, we'll go into, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about some of the returns and some of the stuff that's been going on. So Karrion Kross, NXT this week. He dislocated his shoulder during the match from last Saturday. Ends up, saying to the wrestling world, hey, we'll have to wait and see. He's, believed the separated shoulder won't lead to a long absence. Well, then completely quiet. So he's had MRI that had taken place on Monday. From there, he goes and basically, stays quiet until Wednesday. He arrives in the ring on Wednesday. Scarlett's with them, gets on the mic, drops the championship due to the separated shoulder, drops the championship in the middle of the ring. The hourglass is there, with regards to the movie theatrics, everything else. But the fact is, Karrion Kross, relinquishes the title on NXT this, last Wednesday. So it sucks to see, because the fact is he finally gets his due, and the next thing you know, he has to drop the title, much like what happened to Finn Balor in the Universal Championship. That sucked to see as well. Anyways, that sucked. But then all of a sudden last Sunday, SummerSlam, Roman Reigns appears. And a lot of people, I guess, didn't know about this, because some of the journalists, some of the podcasters out there were unaware of it. And they marked out, the same way, hey, like, holy crap, Roman Reigns actually back. You know what I mean? Tremendous shape. Huge main event for him coming up this Sunday, which we'll talk about momentarily here. But the fact is, Roman Reigns is doing a contract signing tonight on SmackDown with regards to Braun Strowman as well as The Fiend. So that'd be interesting to see what goes on with regards to SmackDown itself. From there, basically, other news, Renee Young says goodbye to WWE officially. I mean, she had said goodbye as far as SummerSlam went, but she officially said goodbye once again on Wednesday. Said goodbye on, I think it was Instagram as well. Had said that, thank you to the WWE Universe. It'd been great for her. Was on the, not Aftermath, but she was on the Bump show. Said goodbyes on there as well. They praised her, how much love they had for her. And then basically said that from this point forward, she's going on with the name Renee Paquette, which is the name she used before she got to WWE. So no longer Renee Young, but Renee Paquette. So this, going forward, you'll see the Paquette show up. Whether or not she shows up in AEW, I don't know. There was a reference dropped to her last night as far as the show goes, which I will get into. But she's a smart lady, so we'll have to wait and see what comes up for her there. Big news as well. Keith Lee debuted on Raw this past week. The reason I bring it up is because of this. A lot of people not necessarily down with his new theme song, his new look, any of that. So Vince McMahon basically, I guess, wanted to cover him up because he's not a big fan of guys being out of shape on national TV as far as brands go. That is what I heard. Whether or not it's true, I don't know. As far as the music goes, the one thing I have heard that makes sense is the old group, the old brand CFO with the dollar symbol beside it. We're doing the music, so to speak, for the WWE guys back in the day. Well, the fact is, when it comes down to it, they apparently aren't doing it anymore. So anytime they use their music, they have to pay them royalties. So WWE want to change things up, so they no longer had to pay them royalties, which absolutely makes sense there. Big news as well. Wade Barrett joining the announced team this past Wednesday on NXT. They said it was a one-and-done deal, but the fact is now, you go to WWE.com. The fact is he's all over the website. I mean, check out these photos that you've never seen before of him. He announced on NXT on Wednesday that he wasn't not going to not be part of the show next Wednesday. He wanted to be there for the main event that's been announced, which I'll get into momentarily here. But yeah, Wade Barrett, Stu Bennett back on WWE television, NXT television at that. So it'll be interesting to see how long he sticks around. He might be apt to stick around a little bit longer because the fact is he's not wrestling. He's just doing the mic work. That as the same thing he was doing in the NWA. So he is good on the mic. He's got that brash, harsh voice. He knows what he's talking about as far as, wrestling goes. And, it's interesting to have a new voice. Whether or not they're going to bring Nigel McGuinness back, I don't know. But for the fact is, right now, Wade Barrett looks like he's not going to any place. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Something else I want to talk about as well. I didn't know this, but so Slam Wrestling, one of the greatest Canadian websites in the entire world, had put out this article with regards to Luna Vachon. Luna Vachon apparently had passed away 10 years ago, and this was on, just want to bring it up, the 27th, so yesterday. Great article by Greg Oliver there from the Matt Matters set. Says, remembering Luna Vachon, 10 years gone. So she died at the age of 48 years old. She was well known as far as WCW, WB goes. Wrestling fans back in the 90s will remember her as Bam Bam Bigelow's Main Squeeze. She was part of Goldust Group at one point. She was part of the Oddities at one point. She had the feud with Sable at one point. She was a character, you know what I mean? And I guess she got her break. I think it was 93 or 94. She came in to replace Sherry Martel as Shawn Michaels' manager / valet. And that's when she got a big break with the WWE. But she was, the stepdaughter of Paul, the Butcher Vachon, the Montreal region there. If you go to the Matt Matters article that Greg Oliver had written, you'll see the two pictures that he's put up like night and day. It's absolutely, she looks like almost like just a mom in the one photo on the left, and then the right hand side you'll see the Luna Vachon character. So it's kind of interesting to see. So check that out, slamwrestling.net. But yeah, 10 years ago yesterday, Luna Vachon passed away. So sad about that. Followed up by this is something that kind of interested me that I found out last night. So apparently you've got Impact Wrestling and the current tag team champions as the Motor City Machine Guns. Well, Alex Shelley has come out and he's posted on Twitter ever since the title change on NXT this week is whether or not they need contenders, and he basically name dropped Kushida to say, as far as the time splitters go, whether or not they want to challenge Breezango for the NXT Tag Team Championship. So you've got Alex Shelley, who's Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champion, now going and saying that he wants to challenge for the NXT Tag Team Champions, the Tag Team Championship, with Kushida. The fact is, I guess he's a free agent. He's not signed a contract with Impact Wrestling. From the sounds of it, it's a per appearance deal, so he can kind of do whatever he wants to. He's not locked into any kind of contract whatsoever. Now he is one of the old school wrestling guys. He will never screw over a promotion, as far as my opinion goes. But the fact is, it is interesting that you've got NXT, Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champion wanting to challenge for the NXT Tag Team Championship with a different partner, not Chris Sabin, but Kushida. So it's kind of got me baffled there. It'd be interesting to see if anything comes of it. I don't think it will. But it surprises me, as great as Alex Shelley is, that he's not signed to any company right now. I did see him last summer take on, I think it was Matt Taven in the main event at the ROH show I went to in Toronto live, and that was part of, SummerSlam weekend. But the fact is he should be an agent, or he should be signed someplace, and I would sign him to NXT, in a heartbeat, because after his career is done, he can be one of those guys that the younger guys look up to. So interesting to say, Alex Shelley is not signed by any company right now, but he is a world champion for Impact Wrestling. So that is interesting there. Excuse me again. I'm going to this here. NXT's viewership stays even against cable news coverage. So this was released yesterday. 824,000 viewers, 18 to 49 rating was identical with a 0.24 for the second week in a row. They finished 24th for the night on cable. That was NXT. You follow that up by AEW last night. So AEW tops 800,000 viewers for Thursday night broadcast, 813,000 viewers at that. 0.29 rating in the 18 to 49 demo to place 11th for the night on cable. Heavy as far as the the conventions going on between the Republicans and the Democrats down there. I think last night was the Republicans. I think it was like 21 million people viewed. But the fact is, to have 813,000 people on a night that's not necessarily yours still tune into your products is pretty damn cool. And they had done the same on Saturday as well, so they weren't far off. So good to AEW for doing that. The show was kind of a hit and miss. I'll go through that just briefly here, some of my highlights. But both companies doing strong work as far as NXT as well as AEW this week, not being on the same night. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if they go back, head to head. Because even next week they're not, because they got Super Tuesday for NXT. They got AEW that is going to be happening on Wednesday night as per normal. So it's just a matter of a couple of weeks before we see them head to head again. And then, maybe one of them decides, hey, another night's going to be better off. Or, and if that's the case, I see NXT heading to a new night and not necessarily, AEW. NXT Tuesday would be nice as well. You'd have that WWE break in between. You'd have shows on, Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday, of course, and the pay-per-view on the Sunday. But you'd have nothing on the, the Wednesday and Thursday to give people a break. But saying that, with NXT UK TakeOver coming back, who knows? Who's to say? Something else I want to talk about as well. This was interesting. So you watched AEW last night. PWA Top 500 announces Jon Moxley as number 1. They wouldn't announce anybody. They made reference, I think it was Jim Ross or Tony Schiavone had said to Jericho, who was on commentary last night, it's like, well, we think you're number 3. And then he was kind of like, who was number 2? But they wouldn't reference this. Well, you want to know who number 2 was? This was posted by Adam Cole on Twitter. Number 2, huh? All right. See you soon, 2021. He goes, Adam Cole, baby, number 1. So you've got top 3. I haven't officially checked at the top 25 yet, but it is interesting because of the PWI 500 this year is both men and women in the top 500. They haven't done separate lists, so I'm definitely interested to see that. But again, You've got, like I said, Adam Cole is number 2, Jon Moxley number 1, Chris Jericho number 3. Not bad. Jericho is like 47, I think, 46, 47 being number 3. It's absolutely amazing. So good to the Canadian there. Cody in quarantine. Now, if you're a fan of a show that I was previously doing, you'll know that we interviewed Cody Deaner. So we're heavily involved in watching Impact Wrestling back then. I still am. I love Impact Wrestling any chance I get to watch it. But when things had broken out as far as COVID went and Cody couldn't get down to the States, he had to do something to kind of remain relevant. So he started doing these skits. As far as Cody in quarantine goes, it basically be him outside of his trailer park trying to sell merch, LJN figures, everything else. It's that guy absolutely amazes me. He's so soft spoken and humble when it comes down to who he is as a real human being. But when you put him in character mode, it's like, holy crap, he can actually go and make you believe that he's living in a trailer home. You know what I mean? But anyways, fact is, the reason I mention this because he's been nominated as far as the Cody in quarantine goes for 4 film festivals. I know one is Montreal. I think another one is Vegas, and there's 2 other ones as well. But that short little film that had been done that was broken up into segments has been nominated for 4 film festivals. It was pretty damn cool. So Cody, keep it up. Maybe you've got some movie star into you or in you after the wrestling business dies down, after your career ends. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Roppongi 3K to vacate the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. Sad for them. Who was it? A show had announced that at a post press conference. I think it was night 13 of Summer Struggle, but said that Yo is injured. He won't be coming back anytime soon. Didn't want to do dishonor to the Tag Team Championships. Apparently, New Japan had acknowledged it, but they haven't officially made a statement on their website yet. But yeah, it looks like Sho and Yo Roppongi 3K has dropped the titles. So the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champions coming up in the near future there. Major matches lined up for Fighting Spirit Unleashed on New Japan Strong. That is taking place September 4th and September 11th. So next Friday and the Friday after that. I believe one of the matches is Kenta and Jeff Cobb. So if you get a chance, if you're a fan or if you have subscription to NewJapanWorld.com, definitely check that out next Friday as well as the following Friday. AEW sets Saturday on sale days for Wednesday's Dynamite All Out. So they are selling tickets once again. So big controversy online was whether or not AEW should be running shows with fans. Now, I watched AEW in its entirety last night. The fact is they are doing things smart. They had Tony Khan come out before the event had actually taken place, just to remind guys of social distancing and wearing their masks and not to curse and swear and this and that. And then when you watch the show, the show went down great. Fans were in attendance. Jericho had a moment where he actually looked like he was about to tear up, and maybe he did underneath the sunglasses. But the fact is, AEW went on. They went on strong. They did things, great. And they're in an open environment arena as far as Daly's place goes. So, you know what? Why not do it again? So they are doing it again. So tickets on sale tomorrow as far as Dynamite for next Wednesday and All Out. So you will be seeing fans at Dynamite next week, as well as All Out, which takes place next Saturday night, the pay-per-view, headlined by Moxley versus MJF. And I can't believe I forgot that. But anyways, yeah, that is that. From there, guys, I'm going to go into, I don't think I missed anything as far as the news of the week goes. But I'm going to go into some highlights, some previews, and then I'll get into Canadian independent wrestling, of course. Raw highlights for me. So Keith Lee debuted. It was interesting for him because he interrupted Randy Orton, and they came out, and there was a non-decision match that took place between the two of them, which leads into the pay-per-view coming up for Payback this coming Sunday. We'll see Randy Orton as well as Keith Lee go at each other. Big thing about Raw this past week was Drew McIntyre taking 3 punts. He took 2 and then gets up again, and all of a sudden takes another, and then Keith Lee basically said, no, enough's enough. If you're going to do this, you're not going to do this in front of me. So Keith Lee challenged Randy Orton. So the match is taking place on Payback this coming Sunday, which you'll see the preview take place 3 p.m. From CWN I think we're going to do it. I think I'm going to do it live. We'll do it live on Sunday at 3 p.m. just before the show there. So look for that. Tozawa is new 24/7 champion. So that took place on Monday as well. Retribution destroyed the Mysterios at the very end of the show. I think they're starting to get into the characters. I know there was rumor at one point that the guys you saw on screen weren't necessarily the talent that was going to be. But then when you saw them this past Monday, they looked like the guys who were going to basically present themselves. I mean, they were built, they were in shape. There was women there as well. Rumor has Mia Yim being part of it. Storyline to me, I would love to see Sami Zayn as the leader of this. I think he's well. I mean, you definitely know he's gifted on the mic. But the fact is, here's a guy who's probably bitter because of the whole COVID. He wasn't able to get back down to the States. He chose not to go back down to the States. He was stripped of the Intercontinental Championship, and we really haven't seen him since March. And then all of a sudden, you see what happens with Kevin Owens on Monday with regards to Aleister Black. And the fact is, maybe there's play in for that too. Maybe Aleister Black is part of this group as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, yeah, that were Raw highlights for me. Impact highlights, obviously, Purrazzo, Jordan Grace, Iron Woman match for the title. Purrazzo retains 2 falls to 1. And then Eddie Edwards has been announced to be taking on Eric Young, Canadian Eric Young, next week for the Impact Wrestling Championship. So that'll be interesting. NXT highlights, obviously Kross injury, and then relinquishing the title. That's kind of shocked pretty much the entire world there. I mean, like I said, Finn Balor related. It's what it reminds me of. Breezango wins the tag team championships. That I was surprised on as well. I didn't see that coming when Fandango hit that double leg drop off the top rope. And all of a sudden I looked, and next thing you know, 1, 2, 3. I was like, holy crap, what the hell? But Fandango finally gets their due, new NXT Tag Team Champions, obviously being challenged by Alex Shelley and Kushida, maybe momentarily here, but that'd be interesting. Regal announcement. Oh, nope, hold on. Ciampa came back and destroyed Jake Atlas, which is absolutely unreal. I mean, to see Ciampa back is absolutely great, but the fact is he destroyed Jake Atlas. He not only killed him once, but he killed him again. And the referees, because there's no fans, are like, what is wrong with you? What are you doing? Blah, 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 and this and that. So anyways, yeah, so Ciampa is back. He destroyed Jake Atlas. So have to wait and see when he comes back. But that run into a lot of other things. So Shotzi Blackheart run over Robert Stone again. I'm loving this skit. I think it was awesome because they had a close-up of Robert Stone doing an interview, doing a promo, and next thing you know, he just gets run over. And then next thing you know, sees Shotzi Blackheart with the tank. And then she goes over Mia Yim, which was surprising as well. So maybe she's getting a little bit of a push there. From there, we go over to Regal announcement and Gonzalez clean win over Rhea Ripley. So Gonzalez, I want to say Renee Gonzalez, but I think it's Raquel Gonzalez, got a clean win over Rhea Ripley in the tag team match. Rhea Ripley just looked dominated. It's interesting because Rhea Ripley is one of my favorites. I think she's got a big future ahead of her. But to see her overpowered the way she was just was absolutely amazing. So you have to wait and see whether or not they set up Io Shirai versus not Rhea Ripley, but Raquel Gonzalez, in the future. But we'll have to wait and see whether or not that happens and how it plays out for, Raquel, not Raquel. I'm getting my names mixed up. Rhea Ripley. Too many R's. But like I said, big announcement of the night was Karrion Kross relinquishing the title. But then what do you do from here? And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you see a backstage promo that had taken place between, I think it was the Road Dogg and Alberts, Prince Alberts, and then Shawn Michaels. No, it wasn't. Road Dogg was not there. My apologies. But Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and then William Regal. And then all of a sudden, Regal comes to the ring and announces next week, NXT Super Tuesday, 60-man Iron Man Fatal four-way match with all former champions. So you've got Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, taking on Adam Cole, baby, taking on Tommaso Ciampa, taking on Finn Balor. And one of those guys, after 60-minute Iron Man four-way match, is going to come out as NXT champion. So I can't wait to see that. I am, not a big fan of Iron Man matches. I have seen the Sean Brett one, but to me, it's just too long of a wrestling match. And I say that being a New Japan fan, I could watch Okada Omega, Okada Naito every freaking day of the week. But the fact is, yeah, it'd be interesting to see the four-way match because, and the other thing is, too, how many referees are going to have? Because if you've got one referee trying to handle 4 guys in a 60-minute Iron Man match, I mean, how are you going to be able to be in 2 spots at once, so to speak? So it'll be interesting to see. But it looks like they're stacking the card for Super Tuesday as far as NXT goes. So that'll be interesting there. AEW highlights. So Tony Khan addresses the fans. That was hit by mixed reaction online, including somebody from the pro wrestling journalism world known as Ryan Satin from Pro Wrestling Sheet. He had made comments addressing to Tony Khan saying that maybe he shouldn't have done that. And then Khan had come back, and there was a little bit of back and forth interaction on Twitter between those two guys. But Khan basically said, just, hey, stay safe and no swearing, please. And that's all it was. And then, like I said, him and Ryan Satin went back and forth a little bit there. So I don't think anything's going to come of it. But anyways, it's live audience, and some people are going to love it, hate it, but the fact is Tony Khan has let fans back in the building again. So we'll have to wait and see how long it goes on, but it's at least taking place for 3 straight shows. Fans singing Judas was kind of cool. Like I said, I think Jericho actually legitimately choked up. We'll probably hear him this coming Saturday talking about it on his podcast, so Saturday Night Special, Chris Jericho. I think it's episode 21, but he's usually pretty good about touching base on what happened on AEW as well as the stuff going on in his life. But I actually legitimately think he choked him up hearing Judas again sung by the fans. There was only about 500 to 600 fans in attendance, but it was pretty cool. But yeah, Jericho was on commentary for the whole entire night. Big news, Hangman cost the Young Bucks the match. So there was a 4-way kind of gauntlet match at the very beginning to see who's going to challenge to Hangman and Kenny Omega. There's obviously the backstory of FTR telling Hangman, hey, you should cost them the match because they could beat you. So that was a big thing. So Hangman ends up costing the match, to the Young Bucks. So again, it's FTR taking on Hangman Page as well as Kenny Omega at the pay-per-view next Saturday night, All Out. Everybody thinks Hangman Page might be the one turning heel, but the fact is he could be a huge babyface. And we see Kenny Omega turn a heel. Maybe Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks turn a heel. FTR remains like a face, group tag team, so to speak, with Shawn Spears, and then adding Hangman Page to make the 4 horsemen of AEW, so to speak. So it'll be interesting. Casino Battle Royal announced for All Out. So Lance Archer, Brian Cage, part of it. There was a promo as well. And then Hangman Page got booted from the Elite. This was the fallout from what had happened in the match. The Young Bucks confronted him backstage at the bar, asked him what the hell was going on. He had no words for them. They basically, called him a jobber, said they've been trying to be his friend since November. Nothing's come about it. So anyways, yeah, Hangman Page gets booted from the Elite. So that will play into, obviously, AEW next Wednesday, as well as the pay-per-view AEW All Out taking place next Saturday night. So SmackDown preview tonight, only 2 things have been announced. So The Miz is having Big E on the show. We will be off the air by then. So it is about 7:32 right now. So next 20 minutes or so, we will shut down for sure to be able to, for everybody to be able to watch SmackDown. And then the other big news is the contract signing between Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, as well as The Fiend for this coming Sunday, and the championship match taking place between the 3 of them. So that is SmackDown tonight. 205 live preview. It's got, I think, Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch taking on Everrise has been announced. And New Japan Strong preview, like I said, that is taking place officially week 1 next week. And then week 2 will be September the 11th. And big thing taking place this coming weekend, actually tomorrow. And I do believe it's 4 a.m. So it's not even tomorrow. It's a matter of hours for us here in Canada. But New Japan Pro Wrestling Summer Struggle 2020 in Jingu taking place. Bell time is 5:00 p.m. in Tokyo. So yeah, that is 4 a.m. here in North America, specifically Canada. So a lot of matches announced on the show, 6 big matches in total. I'm going to go through those right now. Master Wato taking on Yoshinobu Kanemaru. That is first match of the night, so that's a special singles match. Second match is no time limit. King of Pro Wrestling, so KOPW 2020 Finals 4-way match. Toru Yano taking on El Desperado, taking on Okada, stumbling my words, and Sanada. So these were the matches we were deciding from. There was 8 men involved, and all of a sudden these 4 guys end up beating their opponents. So now they're in a fatal 4-way match to determine the champion, so to speak, for the King of Pro Wrestling 2020. So that is taking place tomorrow as well. That's match number 2. Match number 3, third match, 60-minute limit, never openweight championship match. Shingo Takagi, 4th title defense, taking on Minoru Suzuki. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say I think there's going to be a new champion here. You know what? I'm going to go and announce just my picks here. So Kanemaru is going to be my pick there. I'm going to say Okada is going to be my pick there. I'm going to say Suzuki for new champion taking place there. 4th match of the night, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Takahashi taking on Ishimori. I'm going to say because of the issues injury-wise, I think Takahashi has legitimately had. I'm going to go with Ishimori as champion. I'm going to see Bullet Club starts to develop a huge following once again, and championships align themselves with that following. So I'm going to say Ishimori beats Takahashi for the championship. Coming up tomorrow morning. Fifth match of the night, IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. We got Ibushi and Tanahashi as challengers taking on Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi. I'm going to say Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi's win was a fluke. And I'm going to say Ibushi and Tanahashi win this to become champions once again. And then last match of the night, obviously the main event, obviously the one that people have been looking forward to for quite a while now, is the 60-minute limit IWGP Heavyweight and IWGP Intercontinental double championship match. Challenger Tatsuya Naito taking on champion Evil. And we all know the backstory of this one. So does Naito get his title back, or does Evil retain? This is going to be the toughest match of the card. Looking forward to it. I've got the weekend off, so I'm going to try to. I don't think I'll be watching it live, but I will play catch up sometime tomorrow. Obviously, Sunday is going to be devoted to WWE. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Naito takes the championship back. So I'm going to say Naito by pinfall with the Destino to win back the championships from Evil, the turncoat. And it's funny how I said about the Bullet Club, but the fact is I don't think that Evil is the Bullet Club member that's going to take them into 2021. So I'll leave it at that. So that is New Japan Pro Wrestling Summer Struggle in Jingu, taking place live tomorrow morning at Meiji Jingu Stadium here in Canada, taking place at 4 a.m. on NewJapanWorld.com. So if you have the opportunity to check that out, check it out. If you don't have the opportunity to check it out live, definitely check it out later on. So Underground, Major League Wrestling Underground taking place tomorrow night as well. That is 10 p.m. I think on, I don't know if it's DAZN or, it's the one station I'm missing. But yeah, if you get a chance, check out Underground as well. They're showing a lot of old school footage right now. Dusty Rhodes, Steve Corino, guys like that, back in those days. From there, Payback, like I said, I won't be talking much about it right now because I'm going to be doing a preview show this coming Sunday. That'll be 3 p.m. live on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitch. So look for that. Look for the links. If you want to be part of the show, as far as comments or questions, or you have any kind of, your own kind of predictions go, let me know. You can also email me feedback at cwnonline.ca as well. But like I said, a live prediction show coming up this coming Sunday at 3 p.m. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. G1 Climax 30 coming up in September. Looking forward to that. The Wrestling Code is the official name of the game presented by Virtual Basement. So you're seeing a lot of indie stars, a lot of guys who don't have contracts with AEW or WWE being signed to this. If you go on their Instagram right now, you'll see all the guys, a lot of the guys and women who have been signed by Virtual Basement to be part of this game. Should be interesting. I know at one point Cody Deaner had been announced for it. I don't know if Impact Wrestling had stepped in because I didn't see his name in the list of preview names. But again, that is coming out sometime soon. And I do believe it's for the Xbox as well as Steam. If I'm saying that right, I'm a big gamer as far as Xbox goes, but not a big gamer as far as the online stuff goes. So, but I know Steam's popular. I know Stadia is coming out as well as far as Google goes. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, like I said, the Wrestling Code, the official name of the game for Virtual Basement. MMA talk, just slight here. Bellator 244 took place last weekend. Nemkov stops Ryan Bader to capture the light heavyweight championship. That was interesting because of Nemkov's affiliation with Fedor Emelianenko and the way that Bader had stopped Emelianenko back in, I think it was 2016, 17, I believe. But yeah, we got a new champion as far as the light heavyweight championship goes. Still a heavyweight champion, Ryan Bader is, but the fact is we got a new light heavyweight champion as far as Bellator goes. One new breed in Bangkok, Thailand took place earlier today. So if you have a chance, check out the results. That's onefc, I believe.com is still their website. And then UFC Fight Night Smith versus Ratchich taking place tomorrow. So it's 9 p.m. for the main card, TSN2 here in Canada. And then they've got it announced at 7 p.m. for the prelims that taking place TSN2 as well. So if you're a fan of MMA, definitely check out UFC Fight Night tomorrow night. I think it's UFC Vegas 8, I think is the official name of it, but that'll be on TSN2 here in Canada, as well as the Fight Night app. If you have it, not the Fight Night app, so a UFC Fight Pass if you have it. So definitely check that out. So independent wrestling talk, and the best way to be able to hit us up online is right here. So I'm going to change the banners. So hashtag #WeAreCIW is the official hashtag I've given it. You can check out the group at CanadianIndependentWrestling.ca or Facebook.com/groups/Canadian Independent Wrestling. You can check it out there as well. But if you go to CanadianIndependentWrestling.ca, that will forward you to the Facebook group. So Canadian Independent Wrestling is huge as far as me being a wrestling fan goes. I have been following it since the very early 2000s. And when I say that, I had a website that started it all called ftcwf.ca in August of 2001. When I started doing that, I started learning about the websites all over Canada. I started doing, what's coming up next, the results, learning about the wrestlers from, to province to province to province. But like I said, hashtag #WeAreCIW and then CanadianIndependentWrestling.ca are the links that you can go to there. But like I said, I've been a fan of Canadian Independent Wrestling for a long time now. Like I said, I was talking earlier about Angel Williams celebrating 20 years in the business, and I do believe probably her first year or second year, I get to see that the whole Paris, Ontario thing take place. So, it's been a long time, but Canadian Independent Wrestling is alive and well. The shows are starting to come back. I know they're doing it the best they can. I mean, Backyard Pro had just done season 2, finished up their 3rd show yesterday online on YouTube. So you can check that out on YouTube. Main event, I think, was Psycho Mike taking on The Rock. He ended up scoring the same amount of points as The Rock. It's comedic wrestling entertainment. If you're a fan of Ontario Independent Wrestling, the fact is you know the voices, you know the guys who are part of the show. They just got different names. But it is comedy. It's and take a guy like Psycho Mike, who is one of the best I think I've seen in Ontario Independent Wrestling in the past 10 years, and put him on a platform like that. And it's funny as hell. And you still get your wrestling, and you still see the faces that you love, but it's a new performance for them. So it's absolutely amazing. So like I said, check that out. Backyard Pro season finale, episode 3 yesterday. But from there, I'm going to go into what's coming up as far as independent wrestling goes. And guys, if you have shows that are coming up that are taking place that you know about, hit me up, feedback at cwnonline.ca, or just post them on the group or post them on the page. I'll be able to talk about them on next week's show or the following show or this or that. But this is what I know. And because of COVID, I mean, I remember shows where I'd look and it'd be like 20 shows taking place across Canada in a weekend. Now I've got, I think 6 taking place in the next little while, but I will announce them here. So RCW Friday Night Fights taking place today in Calgary, Alberta. RCW Saturday Night Fights taking place August 29th in Edmonton, Alberta. We've got Alpha One Wrestling Escape from Your Basement taking place August 29th in Oshawa, Ontario, 2 p.m. tomorrow. The cool thing about this is A1 Wrestling, Alpha One Wrestling is owned by Ethan Page. Because of that, and as far as Ethan Page goes, he's a huge gamer, has a huge following as far as social media goes, has a Twitch channel as well. So if you go to twitch.tv/played by Julian. So that's twitch.tv/played by Julian. You'll be able to watch that show that Alpha One Wrestling presents tomorrow afternoon live and for free. So it'll be 2 p.m. tomorrow on his Twitch channel there. And guys, if you missed that, just basically go and listen to the show on audio or do the replay or whatever the case may be, but write that down. But again, twitch.tv/played by Julian. You'll be able to watch the Alpha One Wrestling show for free tomorrow afternoon. From there, we get Destiny Wrestling announced The Clash is taking place September the 13th, featuring Josh Alexander taking on Speedball Mike Bailey in Mississauga, Ontario. That is taking place in the Battle Arts parking lot. So that there, I don't know if it's for the championship or not, but the fact is Destiny Wrestling presenting its 2nd show since COVID's taken place is actually pretty cool. Go into some results here just quickly, and this is weird doing results as far as independent wrestling in Canada goes, but I'm loving it. And guys, if you have results as well, feedback at CWNonline.ca, and I'll announce them here in the show. So East Coast Pro Wrestling, ECPW, had presented Celtic Chaos 2020 on August 22nd, Glace Bay, Nova Scotia. So quick results here. The concussion dealer Troy Merrick walked away victorious following a win over the Narcissus Saint. It was announced due to injury. The ECPW Heavyweight Championship had been vacated by Duke McIsaac. New champion would be crowned in the 8-man wildcard tag team elimination match later in the evening. Follow up at the East Coast Predator. Titus defeats Kirk Aubé, I want to say his last name is, in a hard-hitting match. New ECPW Celtic Roots champion was crowned as the self-proclaimed greatest wrestler of all time. Self-proclaimed greatest wrestler of all time. What a nickname. Charlie Hubley, correct me if I'm wrong if you're watching this show, defeated Lincoln Steen in a no-DQ match. Chantel pinned debuting Lila Dare in a women's belt. It's been a while since I pronounced Indian names. Casey Williams made his ECPW debut and defeated Jeff James. Post-match saw James show a darker side as he low-blowed Williams and walked away from the match to chorus of boos from the Cape Breton fans. And then the 8-man wildcard tag team elimination match did not disappoint as Team Cowboy, Mike Hughes, Narcissus Saint, Casey Williams, and Titus faced off against Team Answer. Team Answer, which was The Answer, Troy Merrick, Charlie Hubley, and Lincoln Steen, with elimination occurring when your opponent gets thrown over the top rope. The ending saw Titus and Steen remain. However, thanks to some outside interference, Lincoln Steen was able to eliminate Titus and was crowned the undisputed ECPW heavyweight champion. So that was ECPW Celtic Chaos 2020, which had taken place on August 22nd in Glace Bay, Nova Scotia. So guys, like I said, feedback at cwnonline.ca for any kind of results or news of emission shows that I haven't announced and this and that. But yeah, glad to see Canadian independent wrestling back. I'm a Maritimer. I'll always be a Maritimer. Been in London, Ontario now for the better part of 25 years, so to speak. I'm loving the fact I'm a Maritimer, but I'm also loving the fact that I'm an Ontario boy right now as well. Hence the Raptors. But yeah, I mean, Canadian independent wrestling, no matter where it's at, Quebec, BC, Ontario, Alberta, the Maritimes, I love it, and I have for like 19 plus years now. So, and shout out to Sean Bates for helping me get back involved with that, because for a brief period I'd taken hiatus from watching independent wrestling and still maintain what was going on as far as the internet goes, but really hadn't gone to a show. And then went to a show at Fanshawe College one night for Smash Wrestling. Tyson Dukes was champ. I think he fought Seb Suave in the main event, and my passion has regrown since then. Hence doing shows like this, So, but independent wrestling, we can't promote it enough. And I've heard from people all over Canada with regards to, getting the word out there about independent wrestling. Because the fact is, I was even saying to my wife tonight at supper time, some of the guys you see now, you won't see on TV for maybe 10 to 15 years, but you'll remember those guys, when they do hit TV. Guys to me like Steve Carino, who I get to meet, who's now an NXT producer, backstage hand, Daryl Hornet Sharma, so to speak. I remember him when he was just Hornet. Had the honor interviewing him. Both of those guys had the honor interviewing. You can check that out at CWNonline.ca, by the way. But look at, Hornet now, one of the main referees as far as NXT goes. And a lot of these guys, like I said, back in the day, Sean Spears even, I remember him when he was part of Models Inc. fighting the Highlanders, fighting Scott Chase and Tyron Eric Dawson, doing an interview with him when he was, before he went to WWE for the first time, doing an interview with Bobby Roode before he became as famous as he is now. The Impact Wrestling run that he had, as well as, obviously the glorious character he's got in the WWE. But the fact is, moral of the story is this: if you're watching independent wrestling now and these guys are in their 20s, 30s, whatever the case may be, enjoy it, because you never know when you're going to get called up. And two of the main guys that I love on the Ontario independent wrestling scene is Kevin Bennett and Tarek. Why you guys aren't signed by any of the promotions out there right now, I don't know, because you guys are super friggin' talented. And that's just two of the guys out there who have seen it, live in person. But the fact is, like I said, moral of the story is enjoy these guys on the independent scene, because 10 to 15 years from now, you might be having to pay $40, $50 to watch them on pay-per-view, as far as WWE or AEW goes, when that exists. So anyway, guys, that is that as far as shows go. Last little bit of news I want to talk about is this. So Battle Arts Academy lives on to new ownership. The two main guys for Hamilton Wrestling Entertainment, I want to say if that's right, have purchased Battle Arts Academy. So Anthony Corelli, Santino Morella had, said he was going to shut it down, basically just because of the fact he wanted to focus more on family time, kind of move, I think, up north to be able to spend more time with his family. just get away from the Toronto area, get away from the day-to-day business, just be able to relax. Here's a guy who's been doing this again, and one of those guys who's back in Ontario Independent Wrestling who hit it big, and now his life, his career's changed forever. But he wanted to step aside and just say, hey, thank you very much for supporting us, and that is that. He had some offers come about, and the guys from HWE had made him an offer he couldn't refuse. He's still going to stay on as a wrestling coach as far as what he had posted on social media goes. But yeah, that is great news, because Battle Arts Academy was huge with regards to what they were doing for the Don Koloff Arena as far as their association with Destiny Wrestling, as well as Battle Arts Pro, and the amount of courses and classes that they have done and the expertise that came along with it. Here's a guy with Santino Marella, Anthony Corelli, who not only can speak his mind and do it in such a positive note, but he's now doing, I think he's the kingpin of judo as far as spokesmanship going in Canada. He can be a wrestling coach because he knows the craft. He can tell you and show you how to work promos and this and that. Like, he was in the Royal Rumble this year, So here's a guy who's absolutely amazing. How as far as how his career has gone. But, good for him and good for Battle Arts for sticking around, and hopefully they'll be around for years and years and years to come. Guys, like I said, best way to get in touch with Canadian Independent Wrestling as far as we go is CanadianIndependentWrestling.ca, or you can see the group online right now. So groups, /Canadian Independent Wrestling. And I'm talking a lot. I'm starting to get tired. So I'm going to end the show pretty soon here. But guys, it's been interesting as far as CWN goes, because of it's, to me, it's passion. It's what I love doing. I was going through the timeline from when I, put out the website once again. Now, it's been back and forth since 2009. But I'll tell you this. So props to Ed Simon, and props to Sean Bates for helping me get this started way back in 2009. I think it was January 2009. And I think one of the first prediction shows that we had done was the Royal Rumble and this and that. It was a little bit different. We had, I was doing the stories and independent wrestling, obviously. And then we had columns and prediction shows and this and that. And it was fun. And I never would have thought 11 years later I'd still be talking about CWN. And I've gone through, times where all of a sudden, I thought it kind of stalled out, and I was like, okay, what do I do? So I had presented the sharpshooter, and the sharpshooter didn't play out the way I wanted it to. So what do? You go back home. And I went back home to CWN. So for the past year, I focused on the website. I've done side projects, but the fact is, my main thing as far as wrestling goes will and always be CWN. I started my first website 2001, but for the last 11 years, CWN's existed. There's a reason I never shut down the Facebook groups. There's a reason I never shut down the Facebook page. There's a reason why I brought it back. It's just, to me, it's what I want to present as far as wrestling goes. I've gone through 2 shows just talking about wrestling, and I love talking about wrestling. The website itself, we aggregate. So basically, you don't see a lot of original columns or articles and this and that. And that just basically comes down to time constraints. The fact is, when it comes down to it, I pull all the articles I think are relevant and interesting into the website itself. So if I think something's interesting, WWE.com or ImpactWrestling.com or NewJapan1972.com, or, hey, somebody just posted something online as far as Canadian Independent Wrestling goes on YouTube, I'm going to pull that stuff in. You'll see, columns eventually present themselves when the time is right. But the fact is, I take everything I think is relevant and interesting from the internet as far as wrestling and MMA goes and bring it into one website. And that's what my goal is. This here, doing CWN Weekly and the prediction shows and then the recap shows, is just an accent. It's like the icing on the cake, so to speak. It gives me the ability to be able to talk. This is just basically a new platform to be able to do this with, to see how I do solo. It's been going pretty well so far. I mean, it's tough doing a show by myself, but the fact is, it's also a lot of fun doing the show. You'll see me start to do interviews. You'll see me start to include guests and everything else. And speaking of that, before I forget, and I wanted to mention this, but Ryan Knight, who has his own podcast out there, so Knights of the Squared Circle, you can check that out, Knights of the Squared Circle on Facebook, as well as I think it's knightsofthesquaredcircle.com. But the fact is, dude is getting married, I think, tomorrow. And the cool fact is, he had met, I guess, his fiance while he was working side by side in the mall or something like that. And the backstory is this: apparently, he was playing a wrestling theme after his store had closed, and his fiance now had come to and said to him, "Is that, so-and-so's theme song?" And Ryan was like, "Yeah, it was." And all of a sudden, next thing you know, the two just hit it off. And then tomorrow, I guess, is their official wedding day. So according to Facebook, I haven't talked to Ryan in a couple of weeks, but according to Facebook, it looks like they're getting married tomorrow. I know he had shut down his show, put it on hiatus just to get through the wedding. But through all the posts on social media he's been doing, hiccups all of a sudden. Tomorrow is the big day for him. So in saying that, Ryan, congratulations. Long, successful marriage for you, and keep it going with Knights of the Squared Circle, because it is a great show. And check that out on Coyote 103, which is down there, I think in Sarnia. I don't think it's Chatham. I think it's Sarnia. But congratulations, Ryan, and your fiance there. Not sure of her name, but all the best of luck to both of you guys. I'm celebrating 3 years myself with my wife coming up September 23rd. So we'll have similar anniversary dates. And Sean Bates, who I've talked about on the show as well, his anniversary is coming up in September as well. So seems to be the fall is a good time to be getting married. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. But guys, like I said, sad note to that Bullet Bob Armstrong had passed away yesterday. But 80 years old, it's a long life. He left his legacy and his legend behind. And, he's be talked about from years to come. I got to go try to find me some Roddy Piper versus Bob Armstrong stuff, because I hear it's great. But, guys, it's been fun. It's been great. As far as schedule goes for us, it's CWN Predicts coming up this coming Sunday, 3 p.m. for WWE Payback 2020. From there, we'll go into CWN Recap. That'll be immediately following Payback this coming Sunday. So probably about 10 o'clock. I can't see them going 3.5, 4 hours for that show. So probably around the 10 o'clock mark. Might even be earlier. Might be like 9:30. But keep, you'll see it go live you'll see us go live when that show ends. Episode 3, CWN Weekly, will take place Thursday of next week. Just because of my job and everything else. So it'll be Thursday at 7 p.m. That'll be September the 3rd, again, live on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Twitch. So 7 p.m. next Thursday. And the episode 4 of CWN Weekly will take place the following Thursday, again, because of job scheduling, real life job, so to speak, taking place live on September the 10th. On Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and that'll be 7 p.m. on Thursday the 10th as well for episode 4. You can check me out on Twitter at Chris Maloney CWN down there. As you can see, you can check out everything that has to do with CWN basically on social media as well as the website. Just type in CWN CWN or CWNonline.ca. We're starting to branch out as far as audio goes. We are on Anchor, but the fact is we are now on Spotify. We are now on SoundCloud. We are now on, what's the big one? I forget. Apple Podcasts as well. So if you're on any of those platforms, you want to listen to the audio show, check it out. I just saw we hit the live hour mark. So 3 minutes till SmackDown. So I'm going to log off. But guys, like I said, it's been great. Thank you very much. Look for me back on Sunday to do predictions and recap. And then next Thursday, September the 3rd, 7 p.m. for episode number 3 of CWN Weekly. So guys, have a great week. If you're not checking out the recap of the predictions show, but if you are, thank you very much. And that is it. So until Sunday, see everybody again. Thank you very much, and take care.